I came across this story literally just a few minutes ago and was reading it at my desk here right before I hit the live button. And it's interesting. It's going to give us it gives us an insight, kind of foreshadowing what we can expect with Galaxy phones. This is going to directly affect you if you're interested in Samsung. It kind of reminded me of the OnePlus article. Now, Samsung's not going to close shop, so let me just put that out there. Samsung's not closing their mobile division, right? But if there is anything, if there was one step under that, Samsung might be headed in that direction. Now, it's sort of bad news for those of y'all that are hoping Samsung to max out their specs. For those of y'all that are saying we deserve more from Samsung, why didn't Samsung put a UFS 4.1 storage in their phones? Why didn't Samsung put a 10-bit display in their phones? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Well, it looks like you're still going to be asking those questions next year and the year after that, and the year after that, quite frankly, because it goes in depth to essentially foreshadow, look into the future a little bit of where Samsung mobile division is headed. And it's not pretty, meaning they're not going to just close shop, obviously, but Samsung is going to reduce its mobile division's budget next year by 30%. 30%. So cutting it by a third is drastic. They're asking Samsung mobile employees, Samsung mobile division employees, they're not paying for first class anymore. They're asking people that are eligible to retire but are still staying on the company for medical health benefits, retirement, stuff like that, pensions. Samsung's asking those employees that are eligible to retire to retire. Now, why? Why is Samsung doing this? Well, the cost of parts is drastically increasing. The cost of memory is drastically increasing. And Samsung is trying to find any which way to reduce costs as a company, not only in their mobile division, across the board. Because y'all know Samsung does washers and dryers, Samsung does refrigerators, air filters, they do robot vacuums, they do a ton of stuff. TVs, obviously, how could I forget that? Computers. They're not just asking their mobile division to try and cut costs. This is across the board. Now, it just so happens that their mobile division is probably one of their more important divisions when it comes to us and those that love mobile technology. But this is not good. Now, I was thinking, well, damn, they drastically outsold every other previous Galaxy device. So why is this coming out when they have record sales, right? Well, because I think Samsung knows this is not sustainable. I think we hit a perfect cycle, and I think we hit a perfect upgrade cycle where not a lot of S25 users upgraded, but you saw a ton of people with S24, S23, S22, S21, S20, Note 20, Note 20 Ultra. I think you saw a lot of those people upgrade. Now, what does that mean moving forward? That means moving forward, I don't think Samsung expects to see record sales with the S27 series. Now, that's the one I've been waiting for, the total redo, the total refresh. Now, because I've been hearing rumors, leaks that the S27, you're getting a total redo. You're getting all new hardware, literally all new camera sensors, upgrading the camera sensors. I would assume they would get a 10-bit display, but we don't know now. You're going to get the way it looks. You're going to get a refresh on the looks, all sorts of stuff. So that's why I've been saying for the last few months, if you're not really sure you want to upgrade, just hold off to the S27. With this report coming out, I'm not sure we're going to see that, quite honest. Now, you might still see a refresh in the way it looks. They may upgrade, 2 out of the 4 sensors or 3 out of the 4 sensors on the back instead of all 4. it looks like they're really going to be careful with what they spend their money on. In this is a decent article. It's kind of eye-opening, and it's been it's been reported by a South Korean publication. Now, this FNN News, I looked into it. They're a huge news publication in South Korea. As you know, Samsung is home base is in South Korea. And they've been reporting on insider Samsung news for years. So this is not just some hit piece. This is not just some Android headlines is putting out, and this is Android Authority, but remember that OnePlus report that said they were dismantling? That was kind of a hit piece, an Android headlines hit piece, I think. Got a lot of backlash. No, this is actually from a South Korean publication. Android Authority is just reporting on that publication. So they're reporting Samsung is cutting Samsung mobile division budget by 30%. Samsung Electronics has entered in quote unquote emergency management. This was done due to rising costs across the board, including RAM and semiconductors. This is another reason why I think you're going to see Samsung push really heavy the Exynos CPUs across the board in all Galaxy phones in a year or two. I think the rising costs with everything totaling up, if Samsung can just save $1 or $2 here or there, they're going to do it. Now, when it comes to the CPU, you can save about $90 per CPU. If they use an Exynos CPU over a Snapdragon CPU, $90 equates to hundreds of millions of dollars they can save. So believe me, if that opportunity's there, they're going to take it. So they're using this S26 and the Exynos 2600 CPU kind of like a test run, because this is their first true CPU on their new 2 nanometer GAA packing process. This is their wonder child. This is their greatest, latest invention, revelation that looks like they finally turned the corner. So they're going to use this Exynos 2600 that's in some of the S26 and S26 Plus models as a test run. If it gets good reviews, if you don't see a lot of people complaining online, if you see some good reviews on YouTube, I've watched one and it looks pretty good. And I definitely want to try to get my hands on one. But this is why you're going to see Samsung maybe put Exynos in all Galaxy devices, flagship Galaxy devices, a year or two before they want to. But quite frankly, because their parent Samsung company is going to push this. We have to save money. We have to do this. And saving $90 on each CPU, going with yours over going with a Qualcomm Snapdragon CPU, is enormous. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in savings. Trust me, they're going to be pushing this. So, look, I think they finally turned the corner. I know. We all know Exynos CPUs are trash. They overheat. Not this one. They turned the corner, and I truly believe that. While operating under emergency management, Samsung is reportedly looking to cut costs wherever possible. This includes measures such as booking economy flights for employees instead of business class or first class, and some workers to take early voluntary retirement. More importantly, it's reported that Samsung Device Experience Division, which includes Samsung Mobile, has been ordered to reduce costs by 30%. In other words, Samsung will have a significantly smaller budget for its Galaxy phones and upgrades in those phones moving forward. Or at least until the emergency management order ends. Look, the way the world is going right now, the way the economy is going right now, I don't see them getting out of emergency management anytime soon. With what's going on in the Middle East, oil, rising costs, storage crisis is rapidly increasing the prices. There is no light at the end of the tunnel right now. Like, in fact, that light at the end of the tunnel is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So, look, everything goes through cycles. Economy goes through cycles. But here's the thing. The dwindling economy and the cost rising, it may last for 5 or 6 years. I mean, I hope it doesn't, but theoretically it could, right? Go into a recession, you're looking at probably 8 to 10 years. So Eventually, I think we'll come out of this, but it may be 10 years from now. You see what I'm saying? So this doesn't look good for future Galaxy users like you and myself moving forward, or at least into the next few years, right? Because 5 or 10 years is pretty far down the road. I know it's not, but just looking into the next few Galaxy devices, the next few years, doesn't look so good. So how does that directly affect you? Well, that means we might not get the upgrades that we want when it comes to these Samsung Galaxy phones. That's what I'm trying to get at. So it looks like they might be trying to take a step back, and it looks like they're going to be trying to cut costs wherever they can. So don't expect them to just go to a 10-bit display next year. Don't expect them to put Bluetooth back in the S Pen next year. Don't expect them to go with UFS 4.1 storage. They may have to just stay on 4.0 for a while, probably stay on an 8-bit display for a while,